The next story I have for you is a rare example, Josiah, of hope that we don't get as to the possibility of individuals getting out of the Trump cult. And it's really good to see. So I want to walk you through this. Pamela Hemphill is who this is about. She's a 70-year-old woman who was fully, by her own identification, in the Trump cult. She was a cult follower, again, as she says it. And she was at January 6th. She pled guilty to crimes based on her actions on January 6th and spent time in jail. And since then, she's come out of the Trump cult and is now speaking out against it and lending her services or lending her guidance to other people to try to help them. So there's this Daily Beast article, super interesting. January 6th convict tells the truth about Trump. He's a cult boss, she says. And let me zoom in on this a little bit. Actual truth has erupted on Truth Social. It came on Monday after Donald Trump posted a compound falsehood. And what he posts, I'll jump over to here, is a little link to someone else saying, or he's responding to someone else saying, 69-year-old grandma with cancer given more prison time for walking inside U.S. Capitol than Hunter Biden for sharing classified documents with foreign regimes and multi-million-dollar bribery schemes. Obviously, as was said, that's a falsehood. The accusations against Hunter Biden there. But Trump endorsed the lies with one word: horrible. And you saw that photo here on Truth Social. Well, Pam Hemphill responded to that and said, stop using me for political gain. And then discussed further with the Daily Beast about this. And it talks about, I'll just summarize for you, how she was fully bought in, Josiah, to all of Trump's lies, again, there on January 6th. And now is saying, listen, it was hard. And people told me for a long time, you're in a cult, I didn't believe it. Now I believe it, and I want to help other people, if they're willing, get out of this. And it took her being removed from it all and being in jail to really contemplate, understand. And then she talks about how she realized him to be a narcissist and all of what he does that makes him a cult leader and the followers, cult followers. Isn't that incredible?
It is. It's incredible for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is the fact that, typically speaking, you would expect that she'd be entrenched in her ways, right? Because it's really, 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 really difficult to deprogram a cultist, right? And I know you've talked about this, I've talked about this, and others have as well. It's easier to fall into a cult than it is to get out. It's almost like quicksand. Mm-hmm. And the amount of effort that it takes is disproportionate. So it's almost like that's phenomenal. Now, hopefully she'll pay it forward with outreach and advocacy and, work to deprogram others like her. But it's also interesting to note that the separation. So the problem is with social media being what it is and, Trump being so effective at weaponizing social media, with his, pre-Twitter days when he was doing his Trump vlogs on his Trump website, then Twitter, then he tried his website again, then Troth Central and others as well. He and his surrogates are so effective at weaponizing social media, and social media is ubiquitous. So it's impossible to get away from it. And so it's interesting to think that I imagine quite a bit of the success that this woman experienced was because she was like cut off from the supply, from the conspiracy theory, train, so to speak, right? She was removed from it. And it's also kind of discouraging to think that, okay, we have a success story here, but when you look at all the factors
no, let's not stop thinking about that right now. I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying, I can't pretend.
Let's just pretend that a lot of this is going to happen.
I'm just trying to think. Of course, my cynical brain goes, okay, well, how can we replicate this to any meaningful scale? And we can't, right? So it's like, right. So hopefully she has found a streamlined, efficient version that we can market to the rest of the MAGA cult. I think we can do it, Luke. We can do it.
When I go to Trump rallies?
Yes. That's who we need to bring. We need to bring
Come on, Pam.
Ms. Hemphill to the Luke Beasley trips to the Trump rallies, and you can say she can be your co-pilot for that. Like, listen, I have a recovering Trumper right here who would love to speak with you. And she can give her perspective. Yeah.
So I totally agree with you. The sad part is you think, how rare is it that someone's able to be extracted from that environment as is happening here? And even people who experience the same thing as her, many of them are thinking that they are this victim and they are still in Trump's cult and all that. So it's not super likely and is a very hard to scale reality and process of deprogramming people. And I do agree with the sentiment of don't waste time on a political strategy basis trying to get Trump cultists to start voting for Democrats. That's just not going to happen. Go for moderate and voter turnout, because there are enough Democrats to win elections who just have to get out to vote. But similar to, when you're talking with someone, I never do this because I'm always perfectly logical and I never have feelings. No.
You never talk to anyone? So you said,
no, I do this. What I'm about to say. And you're kind of like, they start giving you solutions to the problem you're outlining. You're kind of complaining about something. You're like, what if you did this? And you have to say, I'm going to be honest. I don't actually want a solution right now. I just want the sensation of complaining, and maybe later we can talk about this.
They call it troubles talk. Yes,
I want to be heard. Talk. Right. Again, I've never done that before. Not yesterday. Not at all. And it's similar to that. I'm just telling us this story and walking through this with y'all to feel good about one example, not that it necessarily is a representation logically of a larger thing. A few quotes here before discussing further. She says, she became angry when Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's the story of my life. I became angry when Marjorie Taylor Greene ... anything. And others spoke of her as a victim. Quote, what's happened is they're using me like a victim, Hemphill said. I'm not a victim. I pleaded guilty because I was guilty, period. I was trespassing. I had a choice. I could have left. And she was disturbed by the ongoing Trump mania. He saw all those flags. It's getting a little weird, she says. Just a bunch of things that, another thing, just telling me all their victimness, gaslighting, she recalled, that we've talked about. But to hear someone who is in it say it is so satisfying, because that's exactly what it is. She wasn't a victim. She recognizes that. And she is being consistent with the talking point we've heard from Republicans in all these other cases that will be widely publicized that aren't Trump supporters of, for example, police misconduct cases. And they'll say, well, if you just fully complied with the law, fully complied with the police officer's request, then nothing would have happened. And now they're not so pro law and order, but she is. And she's saying, I was trespassing. Boom.
Yeah. The funny thing is that when it comes to, the Republican Party has long styled itself, one of its appellations is the party of personal accountability. And here you have a great monument to that, great testament to that. This is a woman who is taking personal accountability. She says, no, don't use me as a prop. I was part of a cult. I made my decisions as irrational as they were. I suffered the consequences, and now I'm free. I'm deprogrammed. I'm out of the cult. That is a refreshing take of personal responsibility, which you do not hear from Republican leadership at all, ever. And when you do, actually, let me take that back. You know what, Luke? Occasionally you do hear that from Liz Cheney. Yeah. From Adam Kinzinger. Even to some extent from Chris Christie. And what happens when they do that?
Exactly. I was about to say, all those people that the Republican Party chewed up and spit out.
The rhinos and the losers, those people who are actually strident conservatives and have a record indicating as much. But they've distanced themselves from the MAGA cult, and now the cult doesn't want them anymore. They were never just complete. That's the funny thing about this. I don't know if Trump responded to Ms. Hemphill, but I imagine whatever credibility she had with Donald Trump as a strident supporter who supported his attempt to overthrow the government on January 6th, guarantee you that now means nothing to him, means nothing, because she has now criticized him, right? So it's not just that they part ways. The bridge is burned, and then you go back and torch everything that you'd built together. This person will have no credibility with Donald Trump and with huge swaths of the MAGA movement because she broke free. And that's the frustrating part. That's where it's hard for former Trump supporters to make any headway, Luke, because it's not they don't retain any credibility with the group they were once a strident supporter of. That means nothing.
Right.
It's revisionist history of the highest order. And
they just become liberal rhinos. Exactly. And the other thing is, when that can be done, anyone who speaks out was always a liberal rhino, doesn't matter, and people accept that, then you're untouchable. And when anyone telling you that you're in a cult and proving it to you with facts is what you're being told will be done, you're told the foundation that's laid for you is anyone trying to pull you out of this is a part of the worldview that we're getting you into. And so then anyone trying to get you out of it just further verifies for people everything they were told was going to happen. And it's the same thing with, they're told all these people inside who pretend that they're loyal actually aren't, and they're actually psyops, and they're actually going to be a rhino one day. And then it happens because in reality, people realize the facts and speak out against the dangerous nature of the movement. But for the followers, it's all within the worldview that was structured for them. Very, very dangerous. Thank you so much for watching. For the outro on this video, I want to plug Josiah's channel. Hit them with it, Josiah.
Hey, everybody. I appreciate you watching. You can find me at youtube.com/@ponderingpolitics. One word, pondering politics. If you like progressive commentary that focuses on coalition building with other elements of the left and calling the Republican Party out for what it's become, I hope you'll view my channel. Give me a like and subscribe and some feedback. Again, youtube.com/@ponderingpolitics. Thanks again.